good morning. Hey, Renata, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Everybody, this is Renata Music from Mansfield, Ohio. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I live in Shelby technically, but I teach out of the Mansfield Y, so both places, I guess.
Okay, cool. Well, Renata is a 4th degree. First of all, Renata is a very sweet, nice person that I got to meet a few years ago. To be honest, Renata, seeing her and her posts in the very early days of Strongfirst, I will be honest with you, it's one of the things that attracted me to the community, because you're so positive, and I just, when you're kind of out here in the middle of nowhere in Oregon and you're looking for an online community to be a part of, I'm going to say that you are a reason why I decided to go down that Strongfirst path in the very, very early days.
Oh,
yeah, and that is the truth. You are a 4th degree black belt in Japanese karate and a 3rd degree black belt in Shurite Kempo. Am I saying that right?
yes, and actually, since I guess I need to update that. I am a 6th degree black belt now.
Okay.
Since I wrote that, I've since been promoted. And
get on there and update it. That's a big deal.
I will.
Awesome. Well, you're also a team leader with Strongfirst, as well as an elite instructor. So that means you've got all the certifications and all the modalities. You teach your private lessons at Mansfield YMCA, as well as some group classes.
Yes.
And you're married to Gary Music, who's also a team leader. And what is Gary? I know Gary's martial arts. Many, many levels of black belt in many modalities. So you'll have to fill us in on that.
Okay.
Like I said, you were my team leader back in 2016 at the Bodyweight cert at the Dome. So we are so happy to have you here. I am.
And I'm happy.
Amanda couldn't make it today. So Amanda and I are both happy you're here. She couldn't make it, but you are here. So we get to talk to you.
Yes, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I was honored to get the invite.
Yes, well, we're thrilled. And I'll tell you, this is, I think, going to wrap up our season 1. Who knows? We may start season 2 next week, but we started doing this when everybody was in lockdown, and now that things are kind of open and it's summer, we're just going to taper off for a little bit. So you are the finale of season 1.
Woohoo!
Why don't you tell us what you're up to? What are you doing as far as your training, and what you're doing with your classes, and how you've kind of had to make a shift in our current world?
Well, when the Y closed in March, Gary came up with this absolutely brilliant idea. I didn't think so at the time. I was actually kind of freaked out about it, but we sold our kettlebells at a phenomenally low price. Most of our kettlebells from 20 kilo and down, 22 kilo and down. We sold them to our students, which opened up the world of Zoom class training for me. And that's what I've been doing. Between my level 1 Strongfirst instructor, Heidi Jones, she also teaches out of the Y. She's actually at the Dome this weekend going for her level 2. And so far she texts me and she's passed her snacks test and her strength test. So she's on her way. But I teach 2 classes a week and she teaches 2 classes a week, kettlebell. I'm also doing private trains, kettlebell private trains. And I'm teaching karate Zoom lessons. And when our governor opened up our state, I started having people come over to the house. So I do one-on-one karate and kettlebell. I just started loading my barbell up because I don't have a rack. It's something I want to purchase yet. And doing some barbell training at home also.
Very good. Nice. How many can you have in a group at one time? Are you limited in your house?
As far as one-on-one, I just do one-on-one.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, like I have a karate student. She's like 9, I think, 9 or 10. And she likes to come down here and we'll superset. I have over here, I have some rings, gymnastic rings, and she loves horizontal pulls. I mean, she's just like, can I just do those? I'm like, sure.
Sure.
I'm gonna sit here and watch you. So she'll do some kata and some pulls, and then she'll hit the heavy bag. So we superset everything at like 9 or 10 years old. She just loves it. So I do some one-on-one training in the basement. Right now I have 3 or 4 boys getting ready for their junior black belts. And we'll have a camp in August, a karate camp, which I've already figured out the logistics of social distancing. So those boys have been coming and doing one-on-one training with me for their junior black belt.
Very good. It's pretty cool. You know, it seems like when you look back to March, or I think March is when this all started, it was either the people in the world of training either immediately just made a shift, made a change and moved forward, or they're kind of just swimming and I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's been really cool. And I don't train full time. I did some classes. I did some coaching at the school, you know, a couple years ago, and I had kind of backed off. So for me, it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to be completely backed off until I can really start again. And I've done some one-on-one now since, but it was just like really kind of weird to watch. It was either we're going to make this work or I'm going to swim in anxiety. And it's like, I think people now realize that you can make it work.
You can make it work. I think I'm the only trainer from the Y that does online Zoom. And I did it prior to COVID. Not a lot, not as much as I do right now. It's enabled me to be able to do projects at home that weren't going to get done because I was working 40 hours a week and driving back and forth to work. And back and forth to work is like 40 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic and which I live in the country, so we're not talking a lot of traffic, maybe a few traffic here and there, but that's about it. So I started a project in maybe middle of May, beginning of June, trimming our trees. And we have over 300 trees on our property.
Oh, wow.
So I started with a handsaw and trimmed most of the deciduous trees with a handsaw. And I
trimming the limbs up? Are you trimming the Oh, cool.
Just trimmed them up. So we have we have 8 acres of land with a 1.33 acre pond on the 8 acres. And we mow all of it. So the tree branches will get too low to get the lawnmower around it. So I trimmed all the branches, so now you can just zoom around the trees. But also the front of our property is lined with pine trees. And we have a small chainsaw, and I taught myself how to use a chainsaw, and I cut pine trees with a chainsaw. Probably, I'd say maybe close to 180 plus trees.
Holy smokes, Renata.
Chainsaw.
So now you are a arborist as well as a...
Yes, official arborist.
That's no joke. We have 2 acres and I'm not ever going to complain again.
It's fun. I enjoy it. It's been 95 degrees and I've been out there. I wear some real heavy karate gi pants and goggles and a hat and sunscreen myself up and go, and I'm covered in sap and tree stuff, and I don't care. Just good work.
It is. I got on the end of we have a big brush trimmer. It's like a weed eater, but it's got 2 handles. You can put a big blade on it or a string, and I did a 2-hour weed trimming project a couple Sundays ago. And I have been sticking with my training. I feel really strong. I mean, I feel like I'm in shape. I was so sore for probably 5 days, couldn't sleep, just weird. And it's like, well, real work definitely is different than just working out.
Yeah. One day I put 5 hours into trimming trees by myself. So that's trimming, picking up the branches as I go, because you can't have them laying under your feet. It's dangerous. Loading the truck, driving the truck, emptying the truck. Sometimes if the branches were too long, I had to drag them probably a good 50 plus yards by myself. And then driving back 5 hours. I was sore the next day, but that's been about it. And I have been training, but not training hard. In the beginning, I was chasing a bent press. I was chasing a 36 kilo bent press. Nice. And then I was chasing, I've done a two-hand anyhow, where I got 114 pounds up overhead. Wow. So I bent pressed a 32, and I did a kick pickup with a 20 kilo and pressed that up while it's a 32 up. And I kind of had to lay off that because I have low back and hip issues, and with everything shut down, I wasn't able to get adjusted. So it really messed with my back, and I wasn't able to go to the chiropractor until June. And now I'm going consistently like every other week. So my back's getting better. And I'm thinking about starting to work. And then I found out that I created a bad pattern of movement compensating for the back pain in my bent press. Oh. So now I have to rest and repattern my movement.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's always something, right? There's always something. That's why it never really gets boring. It's just like, well, if I mess that up, I'll just start working on it again.
Right. It's a beautiful journey of hills and valleys. You know, sometimes you'll have a nice smooth road, then you'll hit a bump, and then you got to get over that bump. And but it's like, that's life.
It is. And I think it's a good, doing strength training or physical culture or whatever you call it. And really, it doesn't matter what you're into. I mean, if you're into triathlons, if you're into the running, everybody hits the bumps. I mean, I have a great friend, and she's a runner, just, always qualifying for Boston. She does these fabulous runs, like go to Colorado and do some of these amazing things. But she'll have an injury, and then it's like, how do I work around this? And I think that's part of the fun almost is, it's almost like, okay, so I got my first marathon, or I got my first this or that. It's okay, how am I going to work around this little challenge that's now? And not taking it so seriously. I mean, don't you think sometimes people get so wrapped up in the seriousness of it, they forget that, hey, you should just be enjoying it,
Yes, absolutely. Not long ago, my son and I were wrestling, and I paid the price for horse playing, and he put me in an arm bar and hyperextended my elbow, and it's still healing. So I trying to work around that and know that it's going to heal eventually. It's not tore, there's nothing wrong, it's just hyperextended, but still trying to maintain my strength and cut trees and be almost 50. I have to have some give and take somewhere. So this week it started feeling better. So I started loading it, doing presses with a 20 kilo, and I threw in a couple bent presses, and feels pretty good actually now.
That's great. That's awesome. I love that you love the bent press. It's my, I prefer it to Turkish get-ups now, just because I have a very cranky big toe on my right big toe. And I have found that when I push those get-ups, it gets worse. So you have to finally admit to yourself, well, this is not making it better, it's making it worse.
Yeah.
So the bent press is a really nice thing to do after swings, if you can't get those get-ups in. I think I love the movement too. It's just fun.
I think it's really cool how you've come up with the correlation between the bent press and the get-up, because I too now I have two bad toes. I had surgery on my toe in 2018 because I had bone spurs, arthritic bone spurs. Now I think they're on my left toe, so both toes don't like it. And I do my get-ups, like I might load them with a 16, no heavier than a 20 right now. But you're absolutely correct. It's the same idea of moving under that weight that you do in a bent press and you do in a get-up. And they feel the same.
Yeah. you get that nice T-spine opening, and yeah, it's just a cool movement for sure. So what else are you like as far as just your personal? I mean, trimming trees for sure, you've got that, but are you any other kind of long-term goals or short-term goals that you have?
You know, I just daily try to make myself a better version of myself than I was yesterday, and a better version of myself tomorrow than I was today. No matter what that version is, if it's in being a mom or being a grandma or a wife, cooking.
That's a lot of roles right there.
It's all the hats: tree trimmer, kettlebell instructor, karate instructor.
Yeah, and you have a bunch of pets too, right?
Yes, we have 3 dogs, 3 cats. My daughter has a chinchilla, a guinea pig, a turtle. I just supply food for them. We've got 3 ducks.
Oh my gosh. And catfish in the pond.
Yeah, lots of fish. Oh, we've caught some big catfish out of that thing. Well, we haven't, other people have, but
yeah.
You know, I just keep, eventually I'd like to get back to my bench press. I got to make sure that my hips are going to be good, and I'm going to be good to my hips. Pushing almost 50, I'm realizing what's most important. Yes, the strength is important, but functional daily strength is more important than chasing that PR all the time to me. And I'd like to hit a 315 deadlift, which would be 2 times body weight. But then again, I've got to cater to my body and to my hips.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I'm 51. And
what's that?
I said, I'm 51. And that, I think you're right. You get to an age and you should never stop having goals, but you're right. That day to day being functional is it's far more important than a crazy goal.
Yeah.
I don't know. So basically I don't beat myself up anymore. If I'm going for something and it's like, this just isn't in the cards for now, who cares? Move on.
Right. Exactly. I think that's super important to recognize that, you know, we have bodies that are changing, you know, and menopause is no joke.
No, it's not. It's real. And I've been really lucky. I've had so far a pretty easy time of it, but it is real. Things even weird stuff, like I don't see as well anymore. And maybe that's just age, but there's just a lot of stuff that's like, wow, you know, you get in your late 40s, early 50s, it's just like, there's just stuff that happens and you have to just like, I mean, I think my eyes are the thing that's bugging me the most. And I'm really making like some things happen so that I can get back to reading a book at night, because it's just, I can't see anymore. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And really that kind of stuff brings joy too. I mean, being physical is a very joyful thing, but like, there's a lot of other stuff out there too that, you know, like I've discovered, I think the pandemic has let people discover stuff, don't you?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm interested in photography and, I don't know, baking. I mean, I'm doing all kinds of stuff I never did before. So
I put 3 bird feeders here. Now I'm reaching into that old person inside me, but I put 3 bird feeders up in the backyard, and we have these very unique birds that live in our pines by the pond. They're called bitterns. And there's only 3. There's a male and 2 females, we believe. They're very elusive, almost like a deer, where like you can look and they'll be there, then you look again and they're gone. But they've made themselves more known. Our 3 bird feeders are so much fun to sit in the backyard and just watch the blue jays and the cardinals and the doves and the finches and all these birds. Just, I mean, for heaven's sakes, I spent like $30 the other day on 50-pound bags of bird food so I could feed the birds. But I never did that before. And I think one thing the pandemic has done is it's forced us to slow down. and look around us. If you've got 8 acres of land, or if you're looking out a small apartment window in New York City at the different things that we weren't seeing before that now we do because we've slowed down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great observation. I I've noticed, and I tell myself this, I walk my dogs like 3 times a day. I've got this little trail that kind of cuts through our neighborhood, and I love it. It's just a little grass trail, and you can cut down to the woods if you want to. And it's about a half mile down and back, so it's their walks. And I've been making myself, I keep reminding myself, look up, look up. So I stop and I look up, and it's like, how often do you walk in the woods and you never look up in the trees? And I'm like, you're never going to see an owl if you don't look up, or you're never going to see maybe a cougar, in the tree. I hope not, but yeah, you got to look up sometimes, or look down. I mean, look at things that, don't just, get all in your head. You got to just clear the mind and look up in the air and look at the canopy, and it's beautiful. I mean, I didn't even realize how beautiful it was, and I've been here 10 years.
Yeah. And looking up is a good way to protect yourself too.
Is that a martial arts advice?
Yes. That is,
well, tell us why. Give us some tips here.
Well, Gary and I teach a lot of, we call it life protection. And that's kind of deep. Our method of self-protection is very ancient. Well, I say ancient, it's very old. The principles come from the island of Okinawa, where at the time in the late 1800s, there weren't many people. So they practiced taking their attacker in whole, if practical. Now, what that means is I can't take a life and I can't permanently damage another person, because therefore I'm responsible for that. If we bomb a country, we're responsible to repair that country. So we take that on a smaller level also. But one of when I teach a life protection seminar, Gary and I do it together, there's a part of it that's mine, that's probably 45 minutes to an hour, where I talk about being very aware of your surroundings. In the grocery store, out walking, how to walk with 1 earbud and not 2 so you can hear, and to put the earbud out that's closer to traffic if you're walking down a sidewalk. But I believe one of the most important things is your posture and how you present yourself. Because if you're walking, as most of the country does now, with their shoulders all pulled in and looking at your cell phone, you have no idea what's going on around you. So by opening up your posture, putting that cell phone away, because it's not important at all, you look like that fierce force that doesn't want to be messed with. That's actually on my Facebook page. Always look like a fierce force that nobody wants to mess with, but always be humble and kind. So posturing and pulling those shoulders back and looking at people and greeting them. We're adults. When we were kids, we're taught not to talk to strangers, but let those childish ways be aside and look at people, look in their eyes and say hello to them. Study those people and play games with yourself and be able to identify that person later on during the day in your own mind. That's part of self-protection, is posturing. Pull those shoulders back and be tall and strong.
That's very cool. Yeah. And you're right. We do walk around with our heads down, looking at the phones, and yeah, for sure. I see it all day long. I see my kids do it. They just can't help it. It's weird. It's just these things. I mean, I don't want to get rid of it because we need it now, but really we all should find a time at least once in the day where we just we leave it at home. But then I think, well, then how am I going to track my steps if I don't have my phone with me?
My watch does that for me.
That's true. No, it's weird. I just think we want to keep track of everything nowadays. And I think there's valuable data, but at the same time, it's like, who cares? My grandma used to take walks every day and she didn't care how many steps she took.
Exactly. When grandma was healthy.
She was. And you know what Grandma did? That was, I mean, this is bad, but Grandma had a couple drinks every night and she smoked a few cigarettes now and then. And, you know, so no, I don't advocate that necessarily, but.
Right. Well, a couple drinks. You know, I'll do at least a glass of red blend wine every night.
Yeah.
I just got turned on to those White Claws.
Uh-huh.
Those are dangerously delicious. So, like, I had a couple of those last night, but then I know when to stop because I want to wake up and feel good and refreshed the next day. And there's nothing that disturbs your night's sleep besides menopause than too much alcohol.
Oh yeah, alcohol. People think I'll have a drink or two to fall asleep, and it is the worst thing you can do. The worst.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. Yeah. And the older you get, I mean, I think I was probably 40. I mean, so 10, 11 years ago. And it was like, girl, you just cannot have alcohol like you could when you were 20, you know? So yeah, it's just one of those things I think you slowly have to taper off and just, you know, but so you guys, it looks like, well, maybe it's Gary who's the chef. It looks like you guys make some pretty amazing meals. And that's something else I love about the pandemic is all the extra cooking that we are doing. But
yeah, he does most of the cooking because a few nights a week, Wednesday, Thursday, kind of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I do work late, if you want to call it that. I'm down here until like 6 o'clock or whatever. So he gets things underway. Yeah, we eat way too good. I mean, it's almost wrong how well we eat. I actually just got blood work done.
oh,
and my numbers decreased, which I was thrilled about because at one point my cholesterol was up over. My total cholesterol was over 200, and that just freaked me out. And I'm like, we're making changes. But I was eating a lot of bacon. We were eating beef way too much. So I put the kibosh on that. I have only had maybe 6 pieces of bacon, and that's because it was wrapped around a goat-filled jalapeno popper at our local restaurant since March. And I went from like over 200 to a cholesterol of 180. My good cholesterol is up. I eat a tremendous amount of nuts, avocados practically daily, sunflower seeds, 2 Brazil nuts a day because that's your daily intake for selenium that you need. So I get that. My lunches are obnoxiously consistent because that's what I quit a long time ago just eating and eating to fuel my body. And I teach cancer survivors at the YMCA through Livestrong. And it's such a great thing for me to do. I love it, absolutely love it. But, you know, I don't have a nutritionist or a dietitian degree or anything like that. But I have years of experience of healing my gut and now learning how to feed my body to fuel it. And those are the things that I get to pass on to them, amongst other things. Like, it's really cool to watch them do a get up for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And to stand. And like so it's a 12-week program. And maybe week 3, I get to start introducing just body weight strength. I don't load them at all. It's just body weight strength. And I introduce the get up. And by week 10 or 11, I watch them stand. And in the beginning, they couldn't. They're like, oh, look what I did. You know, I stood up and the tears are rolling down my face because I'm so overwhelmed by that. They're like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? I'm like, I'm so happy for you. You just accomplished something. You really don't comprehend how huge that is for you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Or they get to where they can hold themselves in a plank on the floor and they couldn't do it on a bar in the beginning, you know, in an elevated position. Or they're able to walk up a flight of steps when they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
all because now they're moving, and they're moving for functional strength and health.
Yeah. And they're probably just having a blast while they're doing it too. Cause that
Oh,
stuff's fun. It's like
it's
playing.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. So tell us about this Livestrong program. It's a 12-week, and are they cancer survivors from your community that they sign up? And I mean,
Yeah, the YMCA advertises it, and they can come from anywhere in our community. I'd say, I think we had a lady who commuted back and forth from like Columbus, like her mom might have lived here, so on some nights she came to Livestrong because she was up here visiting her mom or something. And Columbus is about 50 miles away,
okay.
give or take a little bit, 50, 60 miles away. So it's a 12-week program that is designed for cancer survivors at any stage of survivorship. So you could have just finished your last round of chemotherapy and or radiation, or both, and you started, or say that you survived cancer 20 years prior. Like we had a lady who was a 12-year brain cancer survivor who took the program. And in that 12 weeks, they basically get, the first 6 weeks is an introduction to the YMCA. They use machines. I try to keep them on body weight stuff. I introduce them to mobility, to functional movement. So basically, we do a lot of windmills. We do a lot of just naked windmills, unweighted windmills. We do a lot of the warm-up that we would do at a certification in Livestrong, because that's good for everybody to do.
Oh yeah.
Then I slowly I put my gymnastic rings up in what I call my room at the Y. It's basically a big, large classroom that I've got all my bells in, and it's where I teach out of. So any pictures you see me at the Y, you see the big Strongfirst banner. That's my room, or some people say, hey, that's back in Renata's room. But I've been there 11 years, so
wow.
We go back there and we do these different body weight stuff, and we talk about nutrition, we talk about emotions, we talk about depression. They get a time to share with each other their journey. And even though these people have experienced different cancers, their journeys are all the same when it comes to health and mental anguish that cancer can put you through. Not necessarily everybody, but the mental and the emotional struggles that you have with cancer. And then the last 6 weeks, they get introduced to classes. So all of us do Zumba, which is hilarious because I don't do Zumba, but it's fun to just kind of dance around. We do yoga. We might play beach volleyball, put up a net and play beach volley. It's just fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
For everybody at the end.
Yeah. So is this something that your Y put together, or is it like a national program through Livestrong?
It is a national program, and you have to go to schooling for it. So all of us have had training. There's 3 instructors. One of the instructors is also my very good friend, and he's a 2-time thyroid cancer survivor.
Okay.
He competed at the TSC and in 3 years, went from 0 deadlift to a 405 deadlift at the age of 58 or 59 years old.
Wow, that's amazing.
And a thyroid cancer survivor who also lost 50 pounds.
Holy smokes.
So yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So the 3 of us have been through training, and our YMCA uses our annual campaign to help fund our Livestrong program.
Okay. I'm going to check into that. We have a very large senior citizen community here, and really, I mean, for a fairly small community, a pretty well-known and highly respected oncology center.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, that might be something that I can get a few trainers in town to pool our resources together and look into that. So definitely going to change. Oregon still, we're very strict still, even though we're moving along. We have a mandatory mask mandate. You can't gather more than 10 people at a time, privately even. And I keep having to remind my kids of that. I'm like, you guys got gatherings are not supposed to be big. And then they're closing down. It's weird. We have some very rural counties in Eastern Oregon, which is like full-on cowboy country, that have huge outbreaks. But I think it's because the attitude was, we don't need to worry about. They have some big food processing facilities where I think
oh yeah,
they have gotten started, and they just have not been able to get it under control. So they've gone back to like almost full lockdown in those counties. And our governor keeps threatening the same for all of us. So everybody's trying to be really good and wear our masks, and so I don't know. Do you guys have to wear masks? Is it mandatory?
Yeah, Ohio's mandated to wear masks, and we just, for 2 weeks, see our governor, and I don't know if other governors have done this, but he established color coding.
Oh.
And that's how we know what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do.
Oh, that's
and it's like
good.
white, yellow, red, purple.
Okay.
Well, there might be another color in there, but we were in the red zone. So we were at mandatory masks before the state went to mandatory masks.
I gotcha.
And now our governor just closed bars at 10 p.m. Instead of 2, it's now 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's what we are too.
So, but I worked really hard on my karate camp and scaled it back a lot to be able to hold it for the kids. And it's going to be a lot of work, but I want to do this for my students.
Oh, yeah.
They earn it.
Yeah, they do. And there's always a way. There's always a way to figure out how to do stuff.
Yes.
There's always a way.
And stay within codes. You just have to think outside of your box.
Yep. The mask. I haven't had to train with the mask just because I train at home, but I have been practicing, and I'm going to do Pavel and Fabio's online class next weekend. The breathing, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. Breathe Strong or Breathe Right?
I think.
Second Wind,
Yeah.
And then Built Strong, which is Fabio's kind of hypertrophy. And I'm so interested. I've been studying the breathing techniques just on my own now for a few months. And it's amazing, even just nasal breathing, the difference in a mask if you breathe through your nose versus your mouth.
Yes.
And I try to tell people that, I'm like, just start breathing through your nose. It won't be as uncomfortable. So.
And people don't, I'll tell people that you can retrain your body to breathe through your nose only and into your belly. And people look at me like I'm nuts. And I'm like, I did it.
Yeah.
That's how I can sit here and tell you this. I retrained my body. And you feel so much better when you learn how to take those deep cleansing breaths into your belly.
Yeah.
And karate.
And sorry, go ahead.
Karate training does that.
Okay. I wondered about that.
Yeah, when you train in karate, everything, we call this area the hara, and everything is here.
Yeah.
That's
your abdomen. For those listening for those that are listening, not watching, she's referring to her whole abdomen, not her chest.
Yes. It's the abdomen area connects the body. It's not designed to be isolated when you train. It's a connector. It connects left to right, right to left, and top to bottom. And that's what you should breathe from, is that area. So karate training for me, when I really dug into it, really, I was like, well, wait a minute, this is nothing different than what I do in class. So why not incorporate it into the rest of my life?
Yeah. It's very calming too. Like if you're doing something physical, trimming trees, like on maybe a hard hike, breathing through the nose is like this weird auto regulation that you force yourself to stay at a pace that you can handle. Whereas if you're, just that, and you think you're getting more oxygen when you breathe through your mouth, but it really doesn't work that way.
No, because it's so shallow.
Yeah.
One of my karate students who got a black belt from me 2 years ago, I believe, autistic. And he was, I guess you'd say, low function autistic. So he could, integrate really well with the class. But he started doing this thing that I found was so neat when he was doing a kata, which a kata is a series of movements, a series of dictated movements that forms a pattern and stances and posture. And you repeat these series all the time, but there's self-protection within these movements. He would stop and he would just go, and then he'd move on. And I asked him one day, I said, why do you do that? And he said, it's how I stop and pause and gather myself before I move on. I was like, he taught that to me.
Wow.
Did
he figure it out on his own?
He did.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I thought, that is so cool. I have a Master Instructor title in karate, I've been a black belt for 26 years. So I've been doing it a long time. And I don't learn from anybody but my students now, because I watch my students move and I listen to them and they teach me. I know all the katas that I need to know in class, and Gary is actually he's the Grand Master of our association. So I go to him for questions, not as much as I used to, but I still go to him for questions. But I watch my students, and that's how I learn. It's how I learn how to teach. It's how I learn how to teach myself and my students, just by watching and listening to them. Which is
awesome.
I'm learning from like 7, 8-year-olds all the way up to a kid who just turned 18.
Huh.
I find so much joy in that.
That is really, really wonderful that you're working with kids. And I'll say that I've always been a part-time trainer, but I got the most, it was most rewarding working with the youth. I put strength training programs on up at the high school, and I just loved it. I just love working with kids. So, and sometimes they push back when you're trying to teach them something. It's like, whatever, I don't care. Just, I'm showing you something. But when they see things and things start to click, and especially the young ladies, getting them involved in strength training, the best group was some dancers that showed up to a summer strength training program. And then we had football players, volleyball players, and dancers. And those dancers realized how much they needed the strength. And they by far worked the hardest and by far made the most gains, because it was just like, wow, we need this stuff, And it actually is kind of motivating me to want to get back into it after schools, or who knows how long it's going to be. But once schools get open and, we can start getting big groups of kids in the same room again. I can't wait to get back to the weight room with them.
Yeah, I miss it. Usually in the summertime, well, before COVID hit, I was teaching in one of our local schools through the YMCA. I did 3 half-hour classes 2 days a week. And I would let the kids, I always start with karate, because it's all body weight. I can't, they have balls and jump ropes and things like that, but I can't take tools with me, weight tools, to give to these kids, because I could have 30 kids in a class.
Oh, yeah.
But I start them out in karate, and I line them up like I would a karate class. and I start talking about them and making better versions of themselves starting now, listening to them, their teachers, having the discipline to behave in class. And I put the kids in a kibidachi stance, which is a horse riding stance, and it's a disciplined stance itself. And we throw punches. I teach them a kata that's pretty simple to learn. I look at kata like simple and sinister. It's simple to learn because it's a pattern of movement. It's sinister because it's very difficult to understand it.
Huh.
So anyway, these kids learn a kata, and then they earn the right to do what they want to do.
Huh.
And by the time I started teaching them in the fall, and by like May, we were outside and we were running sprints and relays and what we used to call suicides where I was a kid. And then we did soccer and we started playing basketball, and but we earned mutual respect. And I did that using martial arts. And it was so much fun. I miss the kids.
Yeah. Kids are great.
They are. They're wonderful. They are what we make them out to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, as a mom, you know that those teen years, there's some challenges, but that's part of the great thing too about being a parent is getting through those challenges. And I don't know, I've had to learn with my two. Mine are 20 and 21, and it's learning when to pull back. And as my husband puts it, they're on their own adventure. You can mold and shape, but at some point you have to step back. You have to let them be who they're going to be. There will be consequences. And what they really need from you is just love and and understanding. And then I don't know. And you're a grandma too, which I look forward to that. Not anytime soon, but I hope someday I get to be a grandma.
My grandchildren, well, earlier in my life, Gary's my second marriage, and earlier in my life when I was married to my first husband, my kid's dad, I did at-home daycare for 7.5 years. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize how rewarding it was until I got out of it. But now some of the habits that I did with the daycare have come back, and I do the same things with my grandkids. But these grandkids, I'm not the typical grandma that just lets them get away with whatever they want to at grandma's house. Because that's not fair.
Right.
That's not fair to them. It gets confusing. But I discipline them and love them as if they were my own.
Yeah.
And they're just so, Adrian is 3 and Penelope just turned 2. And their personalities are so much fun. I bought a John Deere Gator at a yard sale for Adrian, and my son had one when he was little. And it's so much fun to watch that kid get in that thing and drive it all over the backyard. And he and his sister will pull these little seeds off the pine trees and drop them in the back of the Gator, and then pretend to go all around the yard and plant these little pine trees. They're just so much fun. And to listen to him talk, we took pictures the other day, my daughter and I pulled out a Polaroid camera, and Adrian goes, "But Mama, I don't have my taking pictures clothes on." So they're wonderful. They really are. I like it when they spend the night and they get to make peanut butter and jelly oatmeal for Adrian in the morning, because that's something that I started making for him when I didn't have flavor packets of oatmeal. I just went peanut butter, jelly, and a little bit of honey, and there we're good.
Yeah.
And he asked for
it. That is so much better, because my dad, when my boys were little, he would be, "Oh, I gave you boys Doritos and Coke for breakfast."
Oh!
Just like, okay, thanks, Dad. But it was like, whatever. They were over there every day, so I let him get away with it. But yeah, it'll be fun. I have a feeling I got a long time to wait, but it'll be really fun. So looking
They're
forward to that
great.
for sure. Looking forward to that. So you and Gary, you guys look like you've got a great, well, and there was something I was going to mention in the intro and I didn't, but you're another power couple that we have in our Strongfirst community. There's a few married couples, you and Gary, we have Tony and Mira.
Yeah.
There's a few more. I mean, Matt is bodyweight certified. He was a level 1 kettlebell. He let that lapse, but he's still like I mean, I actually had Matt coach me a lot in my kettlebell skills because he's so good. But I think it's cool when couples they don't have to train together, but at least be on the same page and support each other. And I see a lot of times couples you got one person that's really into training and being healthy, but the other one's not quite there. And it just creates a lot of tension and animosity. And, it's like,
Yes.
yeah.
I was down that road in my first marriage, and I'm just so glad that that's behind me. Gary was my first coach. Before I did my level 1 in 2011, see, I got my RKC in 2011 at one of the biggest RKC certs. It was like the 25th or anniversary or whatever of RKC, or 25th. I don't remember what the whole deal was, but it was like a big event. And he had handed me a 32 kilo kettlebell, or he goes, pick that kettlebell up and squat it. I'm like, it was more than half my body weight. I couldn't pick it up. So he picked it up, and somewhere there's a picture of him handing me this 32 kilo kettlebell. And he
Gary
goes, now
or
squat
Pavel?
it. What's that?
Was it Gary?
Yeah.
Okay, Gary. Okay.
Yeah, Gary did this to me. So he handed this kettlebell to me, and he goes, squat it. And I squatted it. He goes, now squat it again. Okay. Squat it 10 more times. Okay.
Ouch.
So it's just what I did. I had a tremendous amount of untouched brute strength. I mean, at 120 pound body weight, I could overhead squat 220 kilo bells.
Wow.
I had to push press them up there, but I could do it. I was swinging the beast. I could squat the beast at 120, 125 pound body weight. It was just crazy, the things that I could do. So I actually went through my journey of all the certs quickly. I did level 1 in fall of 2011. That was RKC. Level 2 RKC, spring of 2012. And then RKC Strongfirst, they split, and Strongfirst was founded 2012. 2013, I did bodyweight cert. In the spring, fall of 2013, I did barbell cert in Virginia Beach. That was so much fun. But I just did this path super fast because I had a tremendous amount of brute strength. And now I don't chase that as much because I'm aging, and I'm not making that as an excuse, but now to me, it's more important to give. Now, to me, it's more important to, like my student Heidi, my level 1, my very dear friend, she's in Chicago doing her level 2. Mm-hmm. I just got a lady through her level 2 research. I got another guy who's going to Philly in October for level 1. Mm-hmm. And to take that 70-year-old woman and to get her to do that body weight getup who has survived cancer is more important to me than to chase strength. Mm-hmm. So I know what you mean. Changed from look what I can do to look what they can do. Yeah. And I find so much joy in that now. I was teaching bent press progressions this morning online to my Zoom class. And that is, it's just fun. I mean, there's no other word to describe it but fun.
It is. It's very rewarding. I love going to certs. I've been I've assisted at a few. I love that, but I actually like recerting too, as a student, even though I've done it, especially the bodyweight. I can't even count how many times I've been to a bodyweight cert, but I love it because it's just fun. And it's always fun too when you've been through something. And people get nervous, and they should, because the unknown is always nervous.
Right.
And I really just like being at certs and encouraging people.
Yeah.
And especially leading up to the bodyweight cert, people get so nervous. They're so freaked out. Like, oh, that worked, push up. We're just like, who cares? Just go. And you probably won't get it. I'll be honest. But you'll get the skills to get it. Who cares? Just do it.
Right.
And then, like, don't be stressed, because it's almost like going to a playground and playing. Obviously, you need to be serious. You need to pay attention, and you need to do it like practice things the way you're asked to practice them. But have just fun. And I think when you go and you're able to like maybe help somebody be a little less nervous, I really enjoy that. Just
Yeah.
kind of being an ambassador, because like I said, I'm not a full-time trainer. For me to try to assist a lot, it just doesn't make sense. But I love to go and just be kind of an ambassador to the whole community and just promote it. Because I really do think, even though I will go down different paths sometimes, I still will always go back to Strongfirst as kind of where I get my knowledge and base most of my training.
Yes.
So I have a confession to make. I want you to finish, but I'm going to make a confession on here to you after you're done talking. So, well, okay, I'll just say it now. So I have done nothing but Strongfirst based training for about 6 years.
Yeah.
That's a super long time. I'm an amazing 12 coach as well. I went through that. I've done that a couple times, but it's really not that different than Strongfirst as far as the technique. It's just the programming's a little bit different. So I really have not ventured into much else. I signed up for street parking, which is basically like CrossFit, and I'm going to do it like for the next 30 days. But it's awesome. It's like $15 a month, and there are more progressions and modifications and videos and tutorials that I can't believe how much content these people have put together. They're a married couple that I believe was pretty involved in CrossFit years ago, but they've made it so accessible, and the programming is actually very smart. And I am so awkward at that kind of thing. Like, I have a really hard time putting one foot in front of the other. So for me, it's, you need to do something that you're not very good at for a few weeks.
Oh, that's important.
So
yeah. I think I've assisted at 12 barbell certifications.
Oh man.
And 11 bodyweight. Doc actually lets me teach with his assistant some parts of barbell, because I've been to so many, and it's so much fun.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I love it. I've learned under Jason Marshall and Doc.
Yep. My
first year of teaching kettlebell courses, I think that was 2014, before I was a team leader. I think Gary and I traveled to 25 different states that year.
Wow.
Because it was designed to teach at home.
Yeah.
But this isn't an area that would support a $299 course.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've done 2 with the Y and have had like a total of 8 people. It's just not, this area isn't strong enough to support that. But oh my gosh, the places that I have been teaching the courses, and I can teach all 3 courses. I did last October, I taught in Maine. I did the bodyweight course and kettlebell course back-to-back days. I did the barbell course in Florida. It was funny, I taught the barbell course in Florida, and I had like 15 or 20 attendees. 2 guys from Cleveland flew to Florida because we saw it was a Strongfirst barbell course that was being taught in Florida. I taught it in Port Orange at a gym down there. And I'm like, guys, I'm like an hour and a half away from you. And I was sad because I never heard from them again. I reached out to them, but they did something with the Cleveland Indians, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be awesome to get in and strength train athletes in the off season?
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. But the adventures that I've gone on in with Strongfirst, you know, I entered this when I was 40. And here I am almost 50, and all the many places that I've been because of Strongfirst that I would not have been.
Yeah.
Had I not gone down this path. And Strongfirst is the only strength training I know of. I've never done anything outside of it.
Yeah.
Now I have a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, but I don't even recognize that anymore because I don't do anything with it. But karate, and ironically, when it comes to karate, my first instructor was one of Gary's students. And I met Gary in like 1992 or 1993 at a party that my instructor took me to at Gary's house. So I had, here's a public confession. Most people know about this if they know me. I had a private crush on Gary from that moment. And I re-met him again in 2010.
That's a long time.
It is. He came to the Y. My boss had asked him to bring kettlebells to the Y, but more importantly, assist with the martial arts program that was going on. And the martial arts instructor at the time, he said, it was Taekwondo. He goes, I want you to meet somebody. And I walked in and there stood Gary. And I remember that heart-rushing butterfly feeling when I saw him again, because I had met him all those years ago and I never forgot what he looked like. And here I am married to the guy. And it's
great
funny
story.
to reflect on those moments and still get that heart-rushing butterfly feeling.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing like a hot guy. Let's just be real.
That's sure.
Oh, that's funny. Well, hey, I'm gonna pull. I got my 10. We got our little 10 questions we like to do kind of towards the end. There's no rush on this at all, but let me find them here. Take your time. These are fun. And we started out kind of easy. Favorite color? What's your favorite color?
Oh, that's almost seasonal.
Are you a spring? Did you ever get your colors done?
No,
when you were young?
I have not. I would say yellow right now.
Yellow? Oh, I love yellow.
My kitchen is bright yellow because yellow is smile and warmth and sunshine and happiness and sunflowers, as my logo is a sunflower with a yin yang in the middle of it. So I think yellow is me, or I try to be yellow, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I love yellow. I love it. Favorite meal?
Don't tell Gary, but right now it's lunch.
Well, then we can. Well, what do you like to eat for lunch?
So my lunch right now consists of, if we've had salmon the night before, he makes enough for me that I put salmon in my lunch as my mainstay. If not, it's black beans, and I add half an avocado, a tablespoon and a half of sunflower seeds, beets, goat cheese, and maybe peas and corn. And I have this square blue container that's about that big, and it fits in there. And I stay away from cow dairy, so I do a lot of goat dairy because I can't. I can't eat cow stuff, and I don't do gluten because it doesn't like my body. Yeah. Or my body doesn't like it. But that's typically my lunch. And then I eat berries with coconut yogurt, and I make my own granola. And
yeah,
I crave that every day. And
that
I
sounds
started
good.
with 2 Brazil nuts. So the first thing that enters my body after a somewhere between 12 to 16-hour fast are Brazil nuts.
Interesting. My stepmother, that I grew up with, she's passed away, but she was really into Brazil nuts as well. 2 Brazil nuts a day. I mean, that was going back to the 80s. I remember her doing that.
Yep. I have thyroid issues. So
Yeah.
you need selenium, magnesium, and iodine for your thyroid. And I do the Brazil nuts, and I take magnesium every night, and I do 1 algae pill every day, and I use iodized salt.
Yeah.
And it helps keep, and I do a real low dose thyroid pill every day. And I'm perfect now. I'm even.
Wow. Cool. I know some people with thyroid issues. I will have to pass that on. Another great source of iodine is unsweetened cranberry juice. Super, super tart. You need about that much, but apparently it's a great way to get your iodine. You just gotta either mix it with water or just swallow it down in one big gulp.
Just chug it. Yeah, that's interesting. That's also good for your kidneys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of vitamin C too. So
yeah.
Okay, so what? And I always count audiobooks because, as I mentioned before, my vision is kind of screwed up. But what was the last book that you read or listened to?
Ooh. I'm actually in the process of reading a book right now that was recommended to me by a friend online. I can't remember what it's called. Probably the last book I read was our Strongfirst manual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You probably read it 100 times.
Yes, I go back to it a lot. But if this isn't one of your questions, I'm going to answer this. One of my favorite book is a book called Fight Like a Girl and Win. Oh. And it's a self-protection book. And the lady who wrote it, her name is Lori Hartman Gervasi. And I actually reached out to her on Facebook, and she and I are now friends on Facebook and Instagram. And every once in a while, if I do something else, she's a black belt in Japanese karate, similar to what I do.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I will send her katas, videos of me doing katas, and she's like, that's so cool. So we talk about stuff sometimes.
Awesome. I'm sure that we will have people checking that out. That sounds like a great book. Favorite band or style of music?
I'm an 80s chick.
80s, yeah.
Yes, I love Genesis and Phil Collins. Current music, I do a lot of Pink and Meghan Trainor.
Okay, cool.
Unless I'm lifting hard, and then it's AC/DC, Metallica. Not too heavy, not like Mike Sousa and Doc Hartle kind of heavy music.
Not Slayer.
Yeah, no, I can't quite do that, but if we're doing a snatch test or a swing test or something, I put AC/DC on. Sometimes I do the Uncle Kracker station on my Pandora. I like that kind of music too.
Yeah. I'm weird about music training. I don't like it too heavy. Usually every once in a while it's fun, but usually I have the news on and I just kind of pick up, because it's at 5 a.m. when I train. I just turn the news on to try to get what's going on in the world, but I don't necessarily have to have just loud booming music to get me through a workout. Just
no.
I don't know.
If I'm doing get-ups, sometimes I'll even put Enya on.
Yeah.
Because it's nice. And that pulls me down from hard style, from the yang that I live in all the time, to yin. Gary and I went to Pittsburgh a couple of years ago to visit Brett to go over level 2 stuff, because I hadn't had my level 2 looked at in a long time. And he watched my get up and he's like, you need to soften. because everything about me is hard. Hard style kettlebells, hard style
Hard style
karate.
tree trimming.
Yes.
Hard style arborist.
Tree trim, chainsaw, roar. But I took that to heart, what he said, and have really tried to soften my training, especially when it comes to get-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And bed presses have to be a perfect balance of yin and yang also. They've got to be soft but yet hard, and patient but yet kind.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I think any of us who've been through any kind of a recertification have probably been told you need to back off just a little bit. It's like you get through your first and and then some time goes by and you start prepping for your recert, and it just is weird how the brain goes to just maximum overdrive.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Tone it down a little.
Yeah, I tell people that my skills are that if Pavel knocked on my door at 2:00 in the morning, I could do everything. And my one arm suffers because of my toe.
Yeah.
I can do a one arm at an elevation, but a full on the floor and one arm push up, my toe just, it is not allowing me. And now with the other toe, it's not allowing me to do it. 2-man push-ups, I can pound those out all the time, but one arm loading that toe is not. And then I had shoulder surgery, so.
Yeah. I wear, I found a compression sock. So just something that you'd wear like doing deadlifts, maybe. Something about compressing the toe helped a little bit. Doing them on carpet helps. I haven't been training my one arm push-up lately, but I did have to deal with that when I recerted last year. I had like a bad left hip, so my right arm was a no-go, and I had to test on my left, which is my not as strong side, and I was able to get the toe figured out and pass. And then I recerted a couple months later. I was assisting, and I just wanted to do elite. I just wanted to get all of them at once, and I had them for 3 years. And that toe kind of, I had to dig deep to get the elevated, because I'm 50 now, so I could go with a slight elevation.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, phew, I got it, because I definitely had to do some work. I've been doing Jeff Newpert's sore knee solution. And I went through phase 1 and wasn't going to continue because I was like, I got to work on this toe and my knees are fine. But he was like, just do the 2nd and 3rd phase. And you do some mobilization of the toe in the 3rd phase, and it totally helps. It rocks. So,
oh, wow.
Highly recommend to people with feet problems, but I do recommend you start at phase 1 and go through the whole thing, because it is a progression, and I think you need to learn the whole thing. So it'll take you a few weeks to get there, but I actually will feel my toe loosen up as I'm doing the exercises in the 3rd.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm covered. I've got arthritis,
Me too.
bone spurs all through my body.
Plantar fasciitis. Yeah.
Thumbs. Now I've got bilateral carpal tunnel, worse in my right than in my left. Running a chainsaw doesn't help that any. Running a lawnmower, because I push mow the pond to trim it, that doesn't help any.
But we gotta live, right?
We have to live, and I'm not quitting.
No. Okay. Last movie you watched?
Well, I'm sure it was a war movie, because I live with a veteran. So,
Have you guys seen the newest Midway? Like, they came out with a version of the classic movie Midway in the last year. It's actually really good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Maybe I did. I did see one, a war. Oh, I saw that 1914.
Oh, that's an awesome movie.
Wow. I liked it more than Gary did, which was probably because he picked it apart, in his military mind.
Yeah.
Because that man watched so much of the History Channel that one of his TVs from his mom's house where he lived prior to me because his mom wasn't healthy. He took care of her. The History Channel was burned into the corner of the television. That's no joke. But I thought that was a good movie. I don't really remember the last movie I watched because I have to like work up to watching a movie because come like 8, 9 o'clock, I'm ready to fall asleep.
Me too. Me too. We watch them on the weekends. And during the pandemic, I did say, I want to watch every Marvel movie, you know, all the Avengers. We started with Iron Man and got all the way through the last, but I actually enjoyed it. We'd watch 2 or 3 a weekend, but I learned, I actually now can follow because I would just kind of hit pieces and my kids grew up with those movies and my 2 boys and my husband love them. And so now I feel like I understand what the whole thing is about. And I get it. I mean, it's just comic book stuff. So it's like not to be taken too seriously, but I'm like, okay, I'm glad that I can share that with them because I do get distracted, but I do have to stop and ask a lot of questions in those movies because I'm just like, what happened? So.
My friend who I told you was a 2-time cancer survivor, he works at the Richland County Detention Center, which is for juveniles. And this past week was Superhero Week. And last October, I bought a Wonder Woman costume. And for the YMCA, we do like a trunk or treat. Well, I dressed up in Wonder Woman and I walked for like however long the trunk or treat was. I just walked all over the parking lot at the Y dressed up as Wonder Woman. And it filled me with so much joy to see these little girls' eyes when Wonder Woman went walking by. So just a couple days ago, I dressed up as Wonder Woman and I looked up the history of Wonder Woman and I did a Zoom talk for the detention center dressed in my Wonder Woman costume for the kids.
That's awesome.
And Gary sat down here kind of behind the scenes and held up the papers that I did, and I am Wonder Woman. I was born in 1941. My mother is, and it is said that my father is Zeus. I mean, just, it was fun.
That's really fun. That's super cool. All right, what is something you procrastinate?
Oh. Wow. Dusting. I hate dusting. Yeah. It is a time waster. So my house has very few knickknacks sitting around because I hate
space for dust.
Yes, I literally hate dusting. I guess that would probably be.
That would be it. Well, that's better than saying you don't take the garbage out.
No, that's Gary's job.
That's a man's job.
It is.
I just heard that. I just heard somebody on a podcast talking about that, how they were a single woman and how she gets really angry because there's garbage piles up and she's like, that's a boy's chore and I'm not doing it. She's being silly. But it's like, I do think a lot of us feel like, yeah, the garbage, that's the boy's job. I don't do that.
Well, Gary will not do laundry. I don't even know if he knows where the washer and dryer are at in the house. I mean, that's obviously not true, but we established a while ago that I will always do the laundry and he will always do the garbage.
And that's a fair trade.
I think so too. Because I separate it, I wash it. I even hang my laundry out to dry. Like everything in the summer.
It smells so good.
It does smell good and it saves money. And I set my washer the night before, so I only have like 2 loads to do during the day, and I usually do it on Sunday, so I'm drinking coffee and the washer's going, but I just love doing that. Everything from underwear to sheets goes outside.
Oh, wow. No, I'm not that good. In fact, our home project today, I shouldn't say Matt's home project today is fixing our dryer. It's got a bad squeak. So he's going to, and I have a new rule though, when it comes to appliances, that we go one round of fixing, but then it's time to research a new appliance, because I think we had a washing machine. We've been married, I don't know, 26 years this year. And we had a washing machine that we put way more money into a washing machine than a new washing machine costs.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, we're just going to, have a rule about only fix it so many times.
Right.
Okay. So what is your favorite animal?
Touchable. Oh.
Any animal. It could be your spirit animal. It could be.
I love tigers.
Yeah.
I just, my first karate school was called Tiger Paw Karate.
Oh.
And
that's cool. Because it sounds hard but soft at the same time.
Yeah. I think they're beautiful, gentle, moving creatures that can be aggressive and kill whenever they need to. And I just think they're beautiful. They're so uniquely printed, so to speak, when they're created. I think I would have to say tigers.
Tigers. That's awesome. Okay, so what is a hobby or interest that people listening or watching may not know about?
Wow. I like to bake.
Baking?
Yes. Since we have a gluten-free household, Gary and I are both gluten-free, I like to take regular recipes and make them gluten-free and dairy-free. And I like to make it a challenge. And now some things I like to try and make vegan. For instance, my homemade granola, I had gone to a gathering a few weeks ago, a nice social distance gathering, and I made vegan granola because there were people who were vegan there, and it was vegan granola and dairy-free whipped topping to put on berries.
Oh, yeah.
So I enjoy doing things like, because it's a challenge. It's a mental and tangible challenge. And making cookies and finding different kinds of flour to make good cookies and good gluten-free flour to make good cookies and good gluten-free pancakes with. And there are some that don't work well for pancakes. I can tell you that. They're like rubber. They're really bizarre. So that, I guess, would probably be it.
You should put together a book.
I could do that.
Yeah. They have great, I saw, there's a guy here in town, he works in my company, and he and his wife, they're, she's like in nursing school, and he sells cars, and he also owns a gym. He's partners in a gym, but they put together a beautiful cookbook, and they just did it on like Microsoft PowerPoint, and then they just made it an ebook and sold it for $20. It was awesome.
That's a thought. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. She basically modified a whole bunch of things that he likes. Like, he's kind of into bodybuilding, modified a bunch of stuff that he likes to kind of fit more healthy and kind of the macros he was trying to eat. And I bought the book. It was really good. And everything was either in an Instapot or a crock pot. Like, she had all these things she was trying to do. So she modified all these recipes, and then she just put it out there, and they made a little money, and yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a little side gig.
Yeah.
As if we all need more side gigs, right?
I know, right? I still got more trees to cut, Amy.
I know. That's a good winter project.
Yeah.
So and it sounds like you've been to a lot of places. So what is your favorite vacation place?
I think, oh man, that's a rough question. Vacation, we haven't gone our 5-year anniversary, we took my daughter and her best friend, and it was a working vacation. We went to Orlando and stayed at a resort, and I think I taught a course and a seminar. I think the ocean would probably be, I love the beach. I like to walk on the beach, smell the ocean, hear the ocean. Although I've never really been to the mountains, so I can't compare the two. But I would have to say water, any place near like an ocean.
Yeah, I have to agree, and I see the ocean a lot, like every week. It doesn't get old.
Yeah.
It is, there's just something about being overwhelmed with that sound and then the smell, and it can get kind of cold, but it's calming. It's very calming. I think there's a reason why people like to go and meditate and just, or why they go to sleep with ocean sounds. It's there's something about it, and it doesn't get old. So
no,
come see me. You can see both mountains and ocean in Oregon. We've got it all.
Yeah. I like to do karate in the sand.
Oh yeah, that'd be so cool.
It does. It's cool to watch anyway, it's that weirdo in me that the karate geeky thing, follow the path and the sand of the pattern that I moved in. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Okay, so one more. What is something people may get wrong about you?
Ooh, you did go from easy to hard, didn't you?
Yep.
May get wrong about me. My age, I think. A lot of people put me in my 30s, not almost 50.
I would say that for sure.
I think
it's the strength training, people. It keeps you young. It keeps our skin young.
Yes, and good fats.
Oh, for sure.
I switched a lot of things I actually I get my health care through the VA, and I'd seen a dietitian for a while, and I made changes in my nutrition, and I think that half an avocado a day, and I eat pecans. I've been known to eat a pound of pecans in a weekend. Not that I advocate doing it, but I just did it because they were there. And it didn't affect my waistline any.
Wow.
But I think those good fats really, beauty and age on your face is not something that comes from a jar. Mm-mm. It's what you put inside your body. I drink 100 ounces of water a day, and the only thing I use to moisturize my skin and take my makeup off with is coconut oil. That's all I use, and I think that's made a huge difference in my appearance. Like if I look at pictures of me from last year, I can see a difference in my eyes. Mm-hmm. And I've just added more fat.
More good, healthy fats.
Yes.
Yeah. And I went through the precision nutrition curriculum a few years ago, and one of the things that they talk about is a variety of fats too. So, try to get a little saturated fat, try to get a little monounsaturated fat, you just want to have a wide range. Certain ones are better than others, obviously, but I took that to heart, and I tried to incorporate that in my diet, and I think it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. So yeah. All these things we gotta stay up on in the world of
in the
world
of
health.
I believe too that I was just talking to my student who's going to the Dome, and the biggest thing at a certification that everybody freaks out about is the snatch test. And
sure.
I believe fully, because I've done it, I freaked out and I've had it easy. When I went through my level 1, I was 118 pounds. And before I left, I had done a snatch test with a 16 kilo with ease. So the 12 kilo was a cakewalk. I had my snatch test done in 3 minutes, 33 seconds, and I was not fatigued. Now, the training protocol that I used was the Music's Level 1 prep program, which is on Facebook. There's a little plug for that, but it's a great program. And Gary overtrains, which I was thankful for because my level 1 was a cakewalk. And not many people can say that, but because I followed that program, it was very, very, very easy. Like, we didn't practice a 5-minute snatch. We practiced the Secret Service snatch test to the extreme. So you were not allowed to put the bell down. We would do a 10-minute snatch and you can't put the bell down. You rested up top. But it's a mind game. What I mean is you can't make it out to be a big deal in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
If it becomes a mind game, then that in turn controls your body. So I just think 20-20 or 10-10, set it down. Ding, ding, 10-10, set it down. Ding, ding. And you just do that 5 times and it's over with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy. So when it even comes to nutrition and feeding your body and things that are out there, like, I don't know about your state, but Ohio has been so controversial about wearing a mask. For heaven's sakes, don't make it to be such a big deal. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes much easier. Whenever you put that mental game in, it makes it more difficult. Just say, this isn't a big deal, and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And then it's easier.
No, it is. And in Oregon, it hasn't been as controversial, but there's a few people, there was some pushback. Most people don't want to keep business open, so we do it. And I say, yeah, I mean, and in my business, I'm in a family business, and my husband and I and my 2 brothers we all work there. We immediately all started wearing the mask. It's like, well, the leaders have to do it. I mean,
Right.
we can't expect everybody else to wear a mask. And obviously, if somebody forgets and they walk down the hall, you're not going to, jump them. I mean, let's just be reasonable here, people. And I tell customers, I'm like, next time you come, wear a mask. I have one if you need one.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I agree. And I think that you can still have the debates. You can still have the conversations, but just put your mask on. Just do it. We can talk about it later.
Right. And quit making things out to be such a big deal.
Yeah.
They're just not.
No, they're not. It's not it's not the mask of the beast. It's not, I mean, there's a lot of things about the government, I think, that we can be critical of, but state, local, federal, and masks are the least of our worries.
Oh my, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a snatch test is not a big deal. It's only 5 minutes.
That's true. It is. Yep, it is. It's only 5 minutes. I used to tell myself that I when I was a kid, I tried track and I was horrible. I'm not a good runner. I'm not fast. And for some reason, I think it was because I wasn't super fast sprinter. I could do the endurance stuff, but I wasn't really fast at it. And obviously, if you want to win track meets, you need fast people in races. So they'd always stick me in like the 400 or the 800, which are the worst races you could do. And I would just tell myself, this is just, 2 minutes of your life, or however long it took, 3 minutes of your life. And I was awful, but that was how I got through it.
Yeah.
It was, out of your whole life, Amy, this is 3 minutes. So just suck it up.
I used to compare everything to my first degree black belt test. That the sparring part seemed to go on forever. I was the only female, so I was fighting, so to speak, with guys. And at any minute, I could have 3 guys come in and fight, 2 of them go in, a new one come in, and there's me in the middle just constantly sparring. And at that time, if I quit, I failed.
Oh, wow.
So there was no quitting. I wanted to pass, and I had nothing, like I said, but guys. I was the first female black belt in that school.
Wow.
So there is no quitting for me. It's, you do it.
Yep. You do it.
And
Do it, people. Don't quit.
No.
Well, hey, Renata, this has been awesome. We've gone like an hour and 40 minutes. So,
Are you serious? Wow.
yeah, just flies by. A couple gals chit-chatting. So we're gonna sign off. I will have this up today on YouTube and probably by tomorrow on the others. It takes longer for me for some reason to get the audio ones up because there's some editing. So I'll get this up. It was so nice to see you.
You too.
Can't wait till our paths cross again, whenever that may be.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Hope everyone has a great weekend. And for those at the Dome, I'm sure you won't be listening to this weekend, but good luck and hope you had fun. And just everybody, just get through it. We're all gonna make it. We're all gonna get through this. So
we
try something
absolutely
new.
will.
That's my advice, everybody. Try something new. Do something new this weekend. All right.
Yep.
Signing off. Bye, everyone.
Bye.